Hey, hi, hello. My name is Francine Emefa. I am a food artist, a writer, a producer, and we are trying something new today. This is an exercise in literacy advocacy. It's an exercise in kind of saying the algorithm and content trends and just making something that I want to share. Um, this is also an exercise in experimenting with written word versus spoken word. I think a lot about the tensions of my written word. My writing sounds like my writing, but it doesn't sound like the way I talk. And I'm curious in how to bring that together. And one of the ways is by reading my work out loud. And so hopefully over time, I will be able to track what feels natural on the page versus what feels natural speaking. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Read along. The essay is on Substack. If you're curious about the recipe that goes along with this, you can tap links below or wherever I've placed links for a speculative recipe zine that I wrote and designed just for you, if you want, but only if you want. That was so suggestive for no reason. We're keeping it. Without further ado, let's read. This essay is called Carrot Cake, Reflections on Toni Morrison and Work-Life Balance. The kitchen studio is back. After 3 months of baking everything in the air fryer, my oven has officially been replaced. For my first act, I channel an idea to make a carrot cake for a personal fundraiser. But what kind of carrot cake? Something with a fancy caramel? Pineapples and coconut? Lime glaze? I recall that Toni Morrison is well known for carrot cake, though I forget the source of this knowledge. Rummaging through archives of interviews and essays, I revisit a clip from her 2019 documentary, The Pieces I Am, where I am thrilled to be reminded it is Toni Morrison herself who proclaimed her carrot cake as bar none. Watching the rest of the documentary, I designed the flyer for the bake sale, pulling the infamous picture of Toni Morrison at Studio 54. This photo has become a staple of the Solange Girl TM mood board. Morrison is captured in the middle of the dance floor with a smile rivaling a disco ball, hair big and chest loose. I wonder who she was when these images were taken. This is where a quest for carrot cake becomes a portal into Toni Morrison's life. It is March 5th, 1974. Toni Morrison is a fresh 43 years old. It is 5 months after the publication of her second novel, Sula. She has a full-time job as a senior editor at Random House. This year, she is guiding Angela Davis through writing an autobiography, editing Gail Jones's debut novel, Corregidora, and publishing a critical collection of Black visual memorabilia called The Black Book. She's raising 2 sons, aged 9 and 13, by herself. Speaking from my own deflated ambition and deep-fried attention span, juggling that kind of career and motherhood seems like a crushing task. Toni Morrison was honest about how heavy that weight could be, yet she wore it so regally. That Black woman thing we do detrimentally well. And yet, despite or in spite of her responsibilities, Toni Morrison found herself on a Tuesday night shaking and sweating at the most iconic club in the city. From these images, I would have guessed some large part of Morrison's life included being a socialite. A lauded author who wakes up at 4 a.m. to write, sees her kids off to school, works a prestigious publishing job by day, and by night hits the town for happy hours and get-togethers with other brilliant thinker artists. quite the opposite. In conversation with Claudia Tate for the foundational text, Black Women Writers at Work, Morrison reflects, I don't do much. I don't go out, I don't entertain, and I get off the telephone. Those activities demand an enormous part of what people call time. Mind you, she's speaking of the telephone as it existed in the 1980s. I imagine Toni Morrison would have incredibly searing notes on my screen time. The interview continues to reveal how Morrison did use her time. Writing is a process that goes on all the time. I can find myself in any place solving some problem in the work that I'm at the moment working on. I don't have to summon it. It's just a way of life. So there's never a time when I'm writing a book when it's not on my mind. I live with it. I am struck by how much of Toni Morrison's big, beautiful life was about her work. Not her job, which I have in the past mistaken for an interchangeable thing, but her work. The writing, the teaching, the doula-like role of shaping other writers' words into form. She showed up to this work ferociously, on purpose, with joy, and in community. She wrapped her life around it. This is where the portal into Toni Morrison's life becomes a mirror into my work. In this liminal space between full-time corporate career and something more of my own making, I feel a deep desire to center work in my life again, to dedicate my waking hours to stewarding the creations I am called to. But the water is muddied by past experiences. I am a true blue workaholic who has experienced the severe physical consequences of overdoing it. Work-life balance evangelism taught me, however subconsciously, that the only way to experience levity from the demands of work is to completely sever it from my life. I attempted the mental gymnastics of quiet quitting, but found underperforming on purpose feels more like self-betrayal than a defiant act. I tried boundary setting, quoting passages from one of my favorite Morrison essays. Go to work, get your money, and come on home. The burnout continued. Eventually, I quit my job altogether. The period that follows is a series of side gigs and freelance clients that I encounter at just the right time. Self-funded art residencies in California and Guatemala. Last fall, I started a graduate program studying the intersections of food and art. In my previous career, I felt my purpose was to platform artists. In this one, I am discovering that I am the artist in question. As I continue to explore my practice and find ways to sustain myself in the process, I come back to this question. How do I approach work that is truly my own? After ingesting the many wisdoms of Toni Morrison, here's where I've arrived. There is a job, and then there's your work. The job is the thing that keeps a roof over your head and your family fed. Work is a holy thing. How sacred it is to get up each day and do the things you must do. The thing that is so important that you'll die if you don't. For Toni Morrison, that was mothering her children and writing. She didn't say to publish novels or edit books, though she excelled at both. She was clear about the actions, the process, the work that she wanted to fill her life. It seems that your life's work requires, your life. Just as the farmer lives, works, eats alongside the harvest, I have come to understand the artist also, in this case myself specifically, must live with the art. I reject any framing that leans into a hustle culture, no sleep mentality. For me, it is more akin to an ancestral reclamation, a writing of a relationship to work. In a world built on violently stolen labor, it feels especially poignant to say my work is mine. And I can choose to share it, and I can choose to lease it, but in the end, this thing that I do is for my own satisfaction. Though freeing from my personal art practice, I admit this revelation is difficult to digest alongside the growling desperation of surviving late-stage capitalism. The constant toiling and tallying how close one is to losing everything. And yet, somewhere deep, I know there is a work that belongs to each of us, unshakably. Some calling that we have chosen, expressed in a simple verb: to teach, to heal, to mother, to sing, to write, to dance, to farm, to cook. If we are lucky, our work has a place in our job. We find some material success that makes it easier to live in this difficult world. But when the sales stop, the layoff comes, and the war continues, we cannot forget that it is our work that will keep us alive. For me today, that looks like studying the words of an incredible writer, channeling that study into a cake, and sharing with you. This is where a mirror into my work becomes your invitation to find yours.